Okay, this is going to be timeline part 2 here, and also a brief introduction to Project 1. The idea here on the second one is to use two new concepts. One is called alpha, which sort of adjusts the opacity of any symbol. And the second one is going to be altering the path of the motion tween. We have done lots of motion tweens that have basically gone straight. We can sort of alter that path once we have that motion tween sort of set up. I've sort of worked ahead a little bit here. I've renamed layer 1 AlphaBird 1 and made sure it's on top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to frame 30 and I'm going to insert a keyframe. Okay. I am going to grab our bird movie clip, which we sort of already have over here in our library. I'm going to place it sort of bottom rightish to get it ready for its motion tween, and then I'm going to go up to frame 80 and insert a frame. Okay, so that bird should sort of take up frames 30 through 80. Next thing it says is insert a motion tween. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And then it says go to frame 80 and click on it. So we're going to click on frame 80 and grab the bird movie clip and move it to the top left of the stage. This is going to create this is going to sort of create a simple motion tween. Okay, this should be pretty straightforward. Now it says go directly to the Properties tab and choose Color Effect. Make sure that the movie clip is selected on the stage. So it's selected on the stage by seeing that blue bounding box. Okay, I'm going to go to my Properties tab over here. Okay, and then you have a bunch of different things that you can sort of mess with, and we're going to sort of be dealing with these filters and all sorts of things later. But under Color Effect, we have what's called Alpha. Okay. And what alpha does is it allows us to change what's called the alpha, which is simply opacity, or the ability to sort of see something, from one place to another. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank that alpha down to 0. Okay, that alpha sort of defaults, and I'm sort of moving the playhead here. It defaults from it defaults to 100, but I have made sure I'm on that frame 80 and cranked it down from 100 to 0. So you will see as I move this across that fades. Okay, that is in line with this idea of the keyframes. Here we've stated that it should be 100 because that's the default, and here we've stated, and I have to click on the actual one there, that it's 0 over here. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to sort of deal with is the path. So it says with the selection tool, click on the path that represents the tween. Okay, and I just clicked sort of anywhere in the middle here. And then it says grab a point on the path and pull it so an arc is created. Okay, I can pull on this, I can pull over here. Okay, I can create a funky shape here and alter that path. Okay, you'll see that the movie clip doesn't obviously play, but it should sort of adhere to that path. Okay, so the idea here is that you can sort of create different sort of curvatures. You can alter that path. Whoops. And later we're going to get into sort of altering these singular points. Okay, I simply want a curvature there. Now, step 42, and this is important. If you don't do this, you're not going to get points for it. Create 2 more motion tweens with the bird movie clip, taking advantage of both alpha and property, as well as an altered path inside scene 2. So you are simply adding 2 more movie clips that both are altered, whether they fade in or out, I don't care. They both have to sort of take advantage of this alpha, and they both have to take advantage of a sort of curved path. Please also, if you want to, remember we sort of used the sort of scaling here. We can sort of combine these things, alpha, scale, and altering the path to sort of create a particular effect. Let's see here. One last thing that I'll sort of talk about is this, and it's not in the instructions, but I just sort of thought of it. If you click on a motion tween and then you're in the properties, you'll see this orient to path, and depending on how your movie clip is set up, it might sort of more naturally follow the line of meaning the bird might face up. We'd probably have to go back and mess with our movie clip a little bit, but later, just so you know, we can sort of what's called orient to path, so that things aren't, I guess, as static or sort of facing horizontal when perhaps the path here is more vertical. Okay, just sort of introducing that idea. Let's see here. So this is, yeah, two more motion tweens, two more bird movie clips. Make sure you have that in your timeline exercise when you hand it in. This is going to be saved as timeline, so save another copy and turned in as timeline.swif. So that's the timeline. We're going to end up with something that looks like this. So there's our first one. And then we cut to this, and we have the alpha and the path. Okay? So, again, the organizational sort of aspects of this are probably what's most important about the timeline exercise. I'm going to head over here real quick to D2L and bring it over and talk briefly about Project 1. Here's Project 1. For this project, you are to create a very simple sentiment using Flash. The sentiment should tell a story using uncomplicated animated graphics. Consider how to create a metaphor without complex characters. By this, I mean, can a simple ball and a square that are sort of dealing with a particular situation create metaphor, create a story. Okay, the idea with this simple sentiment is story, narrative, idea, and I want them to be somewhat complete. I'll talk about that in a second. How does color play a role in reading of an idea, whether it's the background or the moving elements? Color has particular connotations. Can you set up characters in relation to color that help with this metaphor? How does a complex idea conveyed quickly and efficiently? How does size of objects convey meaning? How does the speed of movements affect meaning? One of the toughest things that I think people that are new to sort of dealing with the timeline have to deal with is the speed of things. I can't tell you how many times on these first critiques I and other students say that moved way too fast. Make sure you're sort of paying attention to your timeline, how quickly things move. How you might personify, and again, this is sort of creating metaphor with simple characters, simple shapes. How can simple but stable backgrounds, how can they add to the scene? We just created that simple background for this scene, and it was pretty, it took a few seconds. It wasn't very complex. How can you sort of draw potentially static things that really add and create a robust background? You're making a 20 to 30 second animated file. It may only contain vector graphics. Okay. Later we're going to be dealing with bringing in photographs and using those. Do not do that right now. I simply want everything drawn, created, altered in Flash. This is going to be exported as a SWIFT file. After I'm done with this video, I'll add the due date down there, which should be in a couple weeks. I can't quite remember, but I will add that on this file. I'm going to add two examples to D2L. One is they're both very, very good examples in the sense that they convey a complete story. They are actually fairly complex in terms of the drawing, but if you notice sort of how the animation works on each of these, one is about sort of 2 cups of hot chocolate, I believe, and they're basically trying to outdo each other. It's a simple metaphor. It's done very well. It's quite complex in terms of the drawing, etc. But the idea behind this and the other example I'm going to show is that there are complete stories, and they're done very, very quickly, and they sort of complete their idea. The second one is about some penguins sort of attacking a shark, and again you'll see the sort of reusing of movie clips, the reusing of scenery, and pretty simple drawing, but there is a complete story. And I want you to sort of think of that when you think about what it is that you're trying to get done with this project. That's it for this. Please email me with any questions regarding timeline and or project one. You should be starting to work on project one. Like I said, I'll put the due date down here. I think it's either 2 weeks from now. I can't quite remember. I'll look at the schedule to sort of complete this. Yeah, email me with any questions, and good luck with this exercise as well as project one.